I had a service learning course through the Hutton Honors College that partnered with Burmese refugees in the United States. And when I saw the application for the Global Classroom Fellowship, I thought, how cool would it be to expand the reach of this course to not only partner with refugees here in the States, but to talk with students that are still living in Myanmar and get those really alternative perspectives about the situation. And that's when I applied. My name is Brenda Bailey-Hughes. I'm a teaching professor at the Kelley School of Business, and I teach at the Hutton Honors College. I focus on communication, empathy, listening, and leadership.
So among the people that we collaborated with, it was primarily a group of students in Burma who were taking a class called Conversational English. It was for an online university, and this university was actually run by professors who had to flee the Myanmar government since 2021 when the coup occurred.
My students started getting this really multi-perspective understanding of what it's like to live under a military regime, what it's like to have your higher education disrupted completely, what it's like to live in a developing country, what it's like to live with COVID in a country other than the one they were living in. So my students' horizons were just blown wide open.
To be able to collaborate directly with students from Myanmar and hear about their experiences firsthand with the coup was something that was really interesting, and I think gave me a new perspective on the refugee crisis. And so it was a really great experience to be able to work with them and very eye-opening.
Teaching as a Global Classroom Fellow, I learned just how incredible the network here at IU is, how far our reach is. I learned how similarly passionate educators are around the world, how much they also wanted to reach out, make connections, build the learning of their own students. In some ways, we learned how very similar college students are around the world. You know, some of their conversations, yes, were how radically different their lifestyles were or their living accommodations. And some days their conversations just sounded like any other two college students having a chat about what video games they were playing and what movies they were watching.
Being an international studies major, I meet people all the time from different countries, different backgrounds, but especially due to their experience right now with the military coup, it was really interesting and really eye-opening to get to know them since their experiences are so different from our own, but also they're just normal teenagers, you know?
Teaching this course helps me step out of the normal course load that I carry a little bit, makes me think about the world and about educating in a slightly different way. And by being a Global Classroom Fellow, I've really reevaluated some of the pedagogy that I use, some of the teaching methods that I use in all of my classes, whether they're Global Classroom Fellows or not.
The speakers that we had to come in, who came in to talk to us about, immigration law, refugee rights, that kind of thing, really like fleshing out the background, but also having the experience with students who are living through a military coup, who just came out of COVID, you know, like one of my students, I remember her talking about how she still has nightmares.
It's been different because it puts more emphasis on the human aspect of these issues and the fact that real people are involved in these crises.
The Global Classroom experience did affect my career in a couple of ways. Maybe on a superficial level, I snatched up a couple of teaching awards that certainly didn't hurt my dossier when I went up for teaching professor. But on a more profound level, perhaps, I did learn I met so many people that are other fellows and learned what projects they were doing and how cool their thought process was and how helpful that they would be, and just teasing out some of the things we were all working through.
This was different in a way that we actually got to interact with people from a different culture and get to learn more about them. And I think I'm definitely applying some of the things that I've learned in global intelligence to not just my career in music, but also just generally in life.